I was looking around my plant collection and realised that I have multiples of certain plants, and it just so happened that the certain plants that I've accumulated and have multiples of, I grew up around them in South Africa. They were growing in my garden, and it was just such a big part of my upbringing. So that got me thinking, that are these plants subconsciously the ones that I accumulate more of because I have a certain feeling or connection to them? They remind me of my upbringing. So in this video, I'm going to share with you my 5 multiple plants that I absolutely love, that I love caring for. They are super easy to have, even if you're a plant beginner. So let's get going. Number 1, and my all-time favourite, is a Sansevieria, mother-in-law's tongue, snake plant, so many different names. But I remember these plants around me growing up, and I hope I appreciated them back then as much as I do now. I'm sure I did, and I think that's why I ended up with multiples in my plant room, because subconsciously I really love these plants even when I was 5 years old growing up. So this lovely plant, it's so big and it's outgrowing my plant room. I got this lovely plant from a family friend, and it's grown so tall and so heavy. I did repot it when I first got it into some fresh soil, so it's really happy. It's loving the space it's in. So this is my biggest Sansevieria that I have. I also have a slightly smaller version. Can never have too many. This is why I looked around and I thought, I don't just have 1 or 2 or 3. I've got 4 of these on the go at the moment. So this is my beautiful number 2. I bought this myself. I think it was a rescue in a shop because it wasn't looking too healthy. So I got it for myself as a rescue plant. I repotted it and it's growing loads of new babies. So that's one. But I also have this beautiful snake plant, and I got this probably about 5 years ago. It was tiny and is now just completely sprawled out. I do need to give it a bigger pot and some fresh soil, but I just love all the different varieties. And just to show you that it just doesn't stop there, because I even have one in a propagation vase on the go. And this one in the water has started to grow a little baby as well. If I can get it out of all my other props that I have in there. So this tiny little propagation is growing a little baby. So I'll probably pop this up and gift it to someone. I love gifting plants to friends. I also have a school project where I donate 5 plants to a local school once a month for their well-being room, so that the students can enjoy a bit of nature and a bit of greenery. So this one might well go to a school, especially if it's growing a little baby. But this is my Sansevieria collection. And I'll leave a photo up here just to show you how well and beautiful they grow outside. And I wish I could have them outside in my garden, but the British weather will just be too harsh, and I will just have to appreciate them next time when I go back to South Africa. Number 2 is a lovely Pothos. You can never have too many of these plants. I especially love it when they start to trail. I've got many different varieties, and I've recently got myself the Cebu Blue that I've wanted for such a long time. I've got a couple of these that I'm going to put together in a pot to make the plant bigger. And when I have a bit of time, I'm going to make myself a Pothos wall where I'm going to trail them along on a wall, because I just think they're beautiful. They're so easy to look after. They need a bright light out of direct sun. I fertilise mine during the summer months with a liquid fertiliser. And I mean, especially this one, my son planted this lovely plant a few months ago, and it's just this summer grown loads. I have another Pothos up here, which isn't looking too healthy. It's looking a bit leggy, which I'll show you in a minute. But I'm going to chop that up, probably pop it in a moss propagation box just to grow some roots so that I can make more plants. But I absolutely love these plants. This one was a bit slow growing. I don't think I've fertilized this one as much during the summer months because it was in another room. And I always find if I put my plants in a room that's out of sight, they don't get as much attention, sadly. But I'm going to fertilise this one before autumn kicks in, and no doubt it will grow, but it's still looking really healthy. So if you don't have a pothos, devil's ivy it's also called, get yourself one. They are super easy, so rewarding. I generally find them quite low maintenance. I've never, touch wood, had huge problems with pests, and they just grow effortlessly without a lot of care and a lot of maintenance. So number 2 is my pothos. Can never have too many of them. This is my other pothos that I have hanging up in my plant room. I've trailed the stems around my wooden beam, but as you can see, there are no leaves on these stems. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop on the nodes, which are these knobbly parts here. I'm going to put the stems into some moss to grow some new roots, and I'll have some new plants to pop into the main pot to make the base of the plant a little bit fuller. Number 3 is Euphorbia. I think I need another plant room just for my Euphorbia. I've got 1, 2 downstairs, 3, 4, 5. I've got 7 Euphorbia on the go at the moment. And the reason, many reasons I love this lovely plant is because I remember them growing up outside in South Africa, and I'll put a picture up here of a massive one that I so vividly remember. But also they are super easy and low maintenance to look after. I've got these little ones. So how many have I got? 1, 2, I've got 4 of these, and you can see I've got the stick propped up. And that's because all of these little ones I've rescued. They've had root rot, so the stems have fallen over and I've rescued them. So I'm just propping them up to grow well-established roots. I can probably take the stick out, actually. This seems quite well-established now. I have no idea what I'm going to do with all of them once they're well-established and grown, but I just love having them around. I don't think I'll give this to my school project, simply because they are really prickly, so I don't want children to go and prick themselves. But also this plant has a white sap inside, so if it gets knocked or if you cut it to make more and propagate, the white sap comes out and it can cause some severe skin irritation. It can also cause blindness, so if you do handle this plant by chopping, or if you think it's going to get knocked, just really be careful with the white sap that comes out. So although I've got many of these plants, I don't think I'll give it to a school just because it's quite risky and I don't want any children to come to harm. But I might just keep them all because I think I can't have too many Euphorbia. I've got a huge one behind me, which I'll give you a bit of a close-up of. I have this lovely one as well, which was also a rescue. It had no leaves on. The stems were quite soft and mushy, but there's some definite new growth that's come in this summer. And this lovely big plant, this lovely big Euphorbia behind me, had a bit of a disaster with it because in my previous house I had bifold doors that had a big blind coming down, and this plant, because they love full sun, a lot of light, and this plant behind me was by the bifold doors. And one night I remember going to close my blind and the whole blind just snapped off the attachments and the whole blind came off. So it ripped all of these lovely stems off. I don't even know, I can't remember what side it was on because it's grown so well. I think you can't really, oh, actually no, it is this side. I'm going to give you a bit of a close-up in a minute just to show you how it's ripped all of these stems off clean, and I was distraught when that happened. But actually this plant bounced back and it's grown so much. But I'll give you a close-up just to show you what happened here. I saved all of the stems that came off, and of course I propagated and made more. But Euphorbia is my all-time favourite. I've got so many favourites, so if I say it to every plant, I just can't pick a favourite. They are all my favourite. So if you want a low maintenance plant for a really sunny corner, great for a conservatory, but just be careful. If you do have pets and they like munching your plants, this is not the plant to get because the sap inside is poisonous. I'll show you the plant I have downstairs in my kitchen. I'll show you a bit of a close-up of this one, but this is my lovely Euphorbia collection and I just love them. This is my lovely Euphorbia that had a bit of an accident underneath the blind. I cannot believe how this plant has grown. I keep going down, 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 thinking I'd come to the bottom, but actually it's grown so much over the last few years. So this is the point where the blind took off all of these lovely stems, and as you can see it was a little bit damaged. Still not grown back, but I'm sure in no time some new stems will be growing back and the plant will look full and healthy again. The main plant is looking beautiful and lots of stems are growing, and it's certainly growing towards the ceiling. So that's another problem for another day, because I don't know what I'll do when it hits the ceiling. I certainly don't want to cut the height off. I just love this plant, it's beautiful. Number 4 is my lovely Tradescantia. I remember these plants in my garden growing up. They sprawl out on the ground, and I remember going to pick them just like you would pick some flowers and chopping them and propagating and making more plants. I absolutely love these plants. This is a Tradescantia Sabrina. I also have Tradescantia Nanook. I've got another Nanook here, which isn't looking the best. This is 2 plants that I've potted together. They were tiny. And I always find if these plants don't get enough light, perhaps not direct sunshine because it will just scorch the leaves, but this has been in a slightly darker corner, and I can tell because the leaves are slightly faded. So I definitely need to give this plant a little bit more light, definitely some more water because the soil is really dry. But I just love how they trail. I love the colour of them. I love how easy they are. And they really remind me of growing up outside in South Africa. I don't have enough of the varieties in my plant room, but I did spot a Tradescantia Purple Heart in my village just a few doors up yesterday when I went for a walk. A lovely lady is selling some plant cuttings that she makes from her main plants, and she has a lovely wooden hut outside where she sells eggs, some plants. There's even a chili plant, I think. But I spotted a Purple Heart Tradescantia in there quite late last night when I went for a walk. So, and all donations that you give for the eggs or for the plants will go towards the local church. So after this video, I'm going to nip up there and I'm going to get my Purple Heart Tradescantia cutting because I'd love to add it to my collection. So have a little look. I'll do a post afterwards after I've posted this video and after I have my Purple Heart Tradescantia cutting, because that would be a new one that I'm adding to my collection. If you don't have Tradescantia plants, they are super easy. They love a bright spot. I water before the soil dries out. They propagate, make more plants really easily, and they just bring such a lovely colour to any room. So this is my Tradescantia. Number 5 is a Monstera deliciosa. I cannot stop myself from collecting these plants, and they are all shapes and sizes. So this is one, I've got one behind me, that's 2. There's a huge one over there, which I've shown in my videos before, but I'm not even going to attempt to bring it in here because it's too big. I will show you a bit of a close-up in a minute. That's 3. I've got another one there that needs repotting, that's 4. I've got one downstairs, that's 5. So some might say I have a bit of a problem when it comes to collecting Monstera because I just can't stop myself. Oh, and I'm propagating one as well. So how many is that? 6, I think. And it's just forever I have Monstera on the go. They are such beautiful plants, super easy to look after. They're great for a bright room out of direct sunlight. And I just love these lush leaves. They do bear fruit, although mine hasn't fruited, is not the right word, bared fruit before. The fruit looks a bit like a corn on the cob, or a corn cob, if that's what you call it. It's edible, and I am really hoping mine will fruit soon, or next year even. I can be patient, but they're such beautiful plants, and I can never have too many of them in my plant room. They propagate really well, which means you can make more plants. They can propagate by root, by simply dividing by root cutting, or if you can find a node, which is one of these bobbly bits on your plant where the roots will come out of, you simply cut, pop it in water, and some new roots will grow. But I love these plants. I can never say no to a Monstera, and I have about 6 of them in my collection. So those are 5 of my favourite plants that I have multiples of, but they also remind me of growing up in South Africa because they just grew so effortlessly around me, and I think subconsciously that is why I have multiples of them in my plant room today, because it just reminds me of my upbringing, and it just reminds me of being surrounded by them when I was running outside barefoot, enjoying nature. I'd love to hear if you've got any of these plants, or if you've got any other plants that you have multiples of. I'm forever looking to grow my plant collection. I'm off now to go and buy the Purple Heart Tradescantia from the lovely lady in my village, from her little wooden hut. I'll put a post up to show you what the plant looks like once I've posted this video and once I've got the plant. But thank you for watching. If you have any questions about any of these plants, or if you would like to share some of the plants that you have multiples of, please drop them in the comments below. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.